All right, I keep saying that we should, but we should go over the locations. We'll do it quicker.
Okay.
So we started with the Nexus of the Universe, right? First and First Avenue. We walked over the Williamsburg Bridge, and we started there. And then from there, we go to the Sniffing Accountant episode, which is Pete's Tavern.
Where is Pete's Tavern?
That's on 18th.
18th and 3rd, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And it's still a Pete's Tavern?
It's still Pete's Tavern.
Yeah,
Cool,
it was.
cool.
It's funny. It says on the exterior, the bar O. Henry made famous. O. Henry, the short story writer who wrote Gift of the Magi and whatnot. But now it's kind of like the bar that Seinfeld also made famous.
Very cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it open?
They were opening it. They were putting up Christmas decorations.
And I'm sure they're having like takeout beers that everyone can drink outside or something
yeah,
like
it
that.
looked like they had a little like outdoor seating.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
fortunately, it did not look like it was in any trouble, which can't say the same for every location that we visited.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure a lot of the locations like became something different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Well-
least one of them, which I told you already, but we'll tell it when
Yeah.
we get to
I
it.
do remember. I can't remember which one you.
Perfect.
which one it was.
And so there is a place that still exists, but not as it was in the show's time. So there was it's now the Producers Club, and formerly it was, I don't know if it was the Improv, I forget
Oh,
what it
the
is.
Improv Theater, I think maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's on 44th and 9th, and that is also the site of where the J. Peterman reality tour started.
Oh, the one that Kramer starts?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so good.
That's season 8. That's the Muffin Tops episode that we referenced as well. But yeah, now it is it's the Producers Club still, and that's also all the opening went back when they did the first 6 seasons or however, when he was doing the stand up as like the intro and the outro of the show.
Yeah.
That's where they did all of those recordings.
At the Improv Club?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was that was a pretty good episode. I feel like that one wasn't as good as some of the other ones we watched personally. Like Jerry he's shaving his chest
Oh, that's the
and he's
same
like a
one,
werewolf
yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
And what else? That's the Lippmann top of the muffin. And
Kramer has the best.
I did like this one. This is probably my favorite storyline where George poses as a tourist to date that girl from the tourism board.
Oh, yeah. I
And
remember
she's
that.
like, "You'll never make it in this city, George." And he moves out of his apartment to move back in, and tells her she got the job with the Yankees. And then Mr. Steinbrenner finds out he was working for the chicken place back in Arkansas, so he gets traded to Arkansas for a bucket of chicken or something. It was just that was funny. I also like that one because George is wearing fun clothes.
He's wearing someone else's clothes the whole time. He was like asked to watch a suitcase, and then the guy never comes back, so he like wears all of his clothes.
Oh, yeah. And so he ends up looking like a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after that, we go to the Soup Nazi one, which I'd never. Have you ever been to the Soup Nazi?
No.
Yeah. Go on. You
No,
look like-
but Max has a story about this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a Soup Nazi story.
Oh yeah, tell us.
I was leaving class, and I was walking through Union Square,
Yeah.
and there was a big Seinfeld tour bus, and I was like, Seinfeld tour bus, this is kind of crazy. I thought it was just a bus with like a huge Seinfeld commercial.
Yeah.
So I went closer to the bus, and I saw the Soup Nazi there, and he was like handing things out.
He was running the tour.
I
Or
think he was just somebody on the show.
Oh, okay.
Or on the tour.
Yeah.
And he was like giving out autographs.
Okay.
And they were like promoting something Seinfeld. I can't remember exactly. But if you go on the bus, I was like half asleep, and I was walking by, and I was like, oh my God. I went over to him, and I was like, you're the fucking Soup Nazi. He's like, yep, no soup for you. And he said it really normally too.
Yeah.
His name's Larry Thomas.
Yeah.
Got a picture with him, got his autograph.
Yeah.
This was all at like 9:30 in the morning. Too,
Yeah.
So I was like,
And you're in
Jesus
college
Christ.
and like,
So to
Yeah.
clarify, is this the Soup Nazi from the show or the actual real life Soup Nazi?
The one from the show.
Okay. Yeah.
And he looked like he hadn't aged a day.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
He looked exactly the same. He was wearing the same outfit. And then I went on the bus, and then they had all these great Seinfeld, George's mom as a doll.
Oh
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
puffy shirt and the Gore-Tex.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Among many other things
Yeah.
on the bus, but that was like a really funny morning.
Amazing.
That's my Soup Nazi story.
Nice. It's
So
great
good.
that when like people can embrace that, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is what I'm going to be known for the rest of my life. So like
Yeah,
I'm
he
going to just
probably
ride it out,
Yeah,
you know?
he's probably been riding it out for
20
20
years almost.
20
yeah.
years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably made some good money from it too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, now my phone, because we've been searching Seinfeld, like my phone is now telling me about all this Seinfeld stuff. Apparently, he makes like over 100K a year, you know, doing stuff. So
Just
good for
like
him.
probably like appearing at parties and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I think he's also a stand-up. So he
Oh,
goes
nice.
and does his comedy bits at shows too.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, we went to the original. It's called the Original International Soup Kitchen, I think is the name of the restaurant. What it looks like, you know, what the Soup Nazi was based on.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
Yeah,
We
it
got
was
soup.
very good.
We got soup and we went and like stood in a corner and drank
We
it.
stood basically in a construction site because you
Yeah.
know it's just the city. And we're
'Cause
trying to
it's
find an
COVID
out of the
and
way
you have
place,
to like hide
Yeah.
somewhere
and
to
we're just
eat.
drinking it like you know it's coffee.
Was
But
it
it was
good?
delicious. Yeah, it was really good.
very good. The
Does it have
original
any,
soup
like-
kitchen.
Does it have any Seinfeld?
Yeah, it
It
does.
does.
It has like a poster of the guy that you met, I guess, and it says
Larry
no soup for
Thomas?
you. And then it has a picture of George, Jason Alexander, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, soup for me.
Yeah.
And like a couple little signs that are like, it's us.
So
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you get the soup, right? And then you also get so when we got it, when we went together, there was an apple inside and then an Andes candy, like a chocolate mint as well. So that was
Yeah.
nice. Like we
Yeah.
just expected soup. And then I went yesterday because I still wanted soup. And I was in the area and I got a banana and a Linder candy. So like I don't know if like different days of the week maybe get like a strawberry and a Twizzler or like you know something, but like it was nice to have like a little dessert, a little piece of fruit, and then whatever soup you got.
Yeah.
That
So-
is really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cute. It's like the opposite of what they show in the show. Like,
Yeah, it's
and,
like
and they were
banana
so
it's
nice.
Banana
and like,
Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, especially you were just saying they were so nice. It was especially different from the show in that it was not at all like the systematic, you know, thing
Yeah.
that you see in the show, which apparently it was at one time. But I don't know if it's how long ago they gave that up or if they gave it up because of COVID. But it was like actually annoyingly the opposite. Like there were people that like we got there and somebody was like, "Oh, you go ahead of me," you know, and it's like, "It's okay, no, you can
Have you
go."
ever been here before?
Yeah.
It's great.
And then
Right.
yeah, and then like people were coming like stepping ahead of us, and we're like, hey, you can't. No, we are next, you know. And like it was just kind of this like milling about of people in front of the store, and it was just funny that it was so different than like what it actually was. On the balance, I'd prefer that to like the you know like one crab bisque, please, you know, and then move to the side. But yeah, and the guy was just he was super nice.
Yeah, he was nice and like moved slowly.
Yeah.
It was fine.
And they seem to be doing well with business.
Yeah,
These days.
they seem to be holding up. I mean, we've walked by a number of times, and there's always like people getting soup.
I mean, the place
Cool.
is like constructed to be served right onto the street anyway.
Yeah,
So I think it,
Just almost a window.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't think it impacted the business really in any way. And then the next episode was The Secretary, which I'm trying to figure out.
George's secretary.
George's
Yep.
secretary.
Who
Uh-huh.
gets a raise.
Yes, I'm giving you a raise.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
And that was, we picked that one because that's also the episode where Elaine is a victim of the mirrors at Barney's. The mirror, they were
Oh,
skinny
the mirror,
mirrors.
it's a skinny mirror.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and that one, yeah, and so we went
the
by
black-
where Barney's used to be.
Yeah,
The
used
black
to be.
dress.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right.
Exactly.
So yeah, Barney's isn't there anymore.
Where was it?
It's on Madison Avenue, I think 600.
61st or something.
600, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But they closed.
we're 660, one of the two.
Was
last
that the
year.
only Barney's? Or was that like
I'm pretty
the
sure-
famous Barney's?
I'm pretty sure it's the only. There might have been some like. No, I think it was just that one store.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they went out of business like sometime last year or the year before, I think.
Yeah, and then now it's a Fred's restaurant at Barney's. Like, I
Fred's
don't know.
Restaurant.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to do a Flintstones like gag or the owner's really named Fred.
Oh, Fred and Barney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's not open right now either. It's like COVID closed. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that, I feel like, just a brief aside, because we talked about this a little bit earlier.
yeah,
That episode, the secretary episode, like, we were talking about, like, what holds up and what doesn't. And that one, I'd say, like, fully does not hold up.
Well, because
Just as far as, like, and I'm not even, like, I'm not offended, but just as far as, like, would this be made today?
right.
And, like, the fact that George is, like, hiring a secretary and he has to, like, specifically hire an unattractive woman so that he won't be distracted. And, like, he's being praised for, like, that's very good of you to, like, do this for someone. And then he, like, ends up sleeping with her anyway. And it's, like, this, like, on the first day, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, it's funny. Like, it's still funny. And it doesn't, like, not hold up in a way where I'm, like, clutching my pearls or something. Like, it's still funny, but, like, I can never imagine that being written today.
I agree with you. I don't think it would.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that. It's just like a lot of, I mean, it's praised as being groundbreaking television, which it is. But there are also a lot of ways that they addressed certain issues that definitely wouldn't fly nowadays.
Yeah.
totally.
That being a good example.
Yeah. No, when we watched it, I was like, this does not pass the like the internal test of, like I saw it and I was like, this is shitty.
Yeah.
Why is like, it's not only like, also George goes through the sequence where they're like two beautiful secretaries and he's like, your resume is perfect, you know all the programs, but I've forgotten my name when I look at you, so I can't hire you. Or it's just like, you're just too beautiful, I want to kiss you right now, or something like, so just like stuff that's just like, it's a
like,
joke.
I'd give
I
an
get
arm
it.
and a leg to like
Yeah.
see you naked, see a picture.
Yeah,
of you
yeah.
and
So I'm so
Right.
sorry, you can't have a job.
Right.
It's like,
Which is, like, that, even, and actually that part, I think, is, like, not only would it not be written now, but, like, I don't even think it would have been funny then. Like, that particular part of it.
Right.
yeah.
But, like, it's actually been rare where, like, rewatching a lot of these with, like, a critical eye, I don't feel, like, a lot of it I still feel like is really funny. And it, of course, like,
Also, just the delivery is just,
yeah,
Yeah.
all the characters are just so, they nail it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess that's actually part of it, like, when it's just performed so well, it kind of, like, you can forgive a little bit of the, like, oh, you're not perfectly, like, with the times, because it's just performed so well.
Right.
And maybe that's part of why the secretary doesn't hold up as well, because it's like, I don't know if the performance by George is, like, top notch in that particular episode. Like, usually really on point, but
I think the main reason why that they pulled that off then was because they were probably like, yeah, it's George. Like,
yeah,
haven't you been watching this for the past 7 seasons? Like, he's the worst.
right, right.
Of course, like, could you expect anything more of him?
And that's, like, that's such a good point too, because yeah, it isn't about, like, is this gonna fly with our audience? Are they gonna think this is good? Because it's like, no, they won't, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it circles back to what I said before. It's just like, what are you putting out into the world? And if
Yeah.
your response is like, well, it's not real, it's like, it is, like, in a weird, like, it just think about when you're a creator, like, even if it's not meant to be real, it is real in ways that you might not even necessarily understand, you know? So, like, what are you putting out in the world? Why? And it is, I mean, I think it's cool, even though I think generally people were upset that the last episode was how it was, where they're immediately called out, or not immediately, they are roundly called out as bad people by all of the people coming back. And I think a lot of people were like, well, this isn't what I wanted. Like, it doesn't feel like a particularly good last episode. But, like, at least they were, like, definitive. Like, no, you have to understand, like, these are bad people, you know?
Right.
Don't get it twisted, you know? Yeah.
I don't think anybody likes final episodes. I think every, like, television show that ends, people are like,
Generally.
Legit.
Generally,
yeah, especially when it's like on for as long as this, like one of these shows that's running for so long, and you
Right.
get so attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 9 seasons is a long time, and then you're like, wait, they're going away and they're going to jail? Like,
So from there, I don't know if we have an episode for this, but just up the block is either 600 or 660, I'm not sure. Pendant Publishing, where Mr. Littman worked.
yeah,
So for like seasons 2 to 5, that's where, or 3 to 5, something like that, that's where Elaine worked. And so, it was just basically the establishing shot of whatever was happening there. So we passed there.
Quick question.
Yeah.
When there's like, they have those little scenes on the show of like a building of like a floor,
Yeah.
a certain level.
Yeah.
Does that, what's it called? Facts about nothing?
Maps about nothing.
Maps about nothing. Does that guy actually, is he like, it's the 8th floor of this building, like this window? Do you
I
think he like can
feel like-
narrow it down that much?
I'm actually not sure. I feel like maybe. Because every time there's something listed, he also does like a little description of like why it's important in that episode. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like, I mean, if he doesn't, he definitely has the potential to do that, to figure that out.
So the next one we went to was La Boîte en Bois. Man, I don't know. I'm probably butchering that. It's a restaurant on 68th Street that I think showed up several times. But the instance that we did was the wallet episode, which is like a very Seinfeld family heavy episode where Jerry's dad thinks that the wallet has been stolen from his pocket when he's going to see the back specialist.
Oh, yeah.
And that actually doesn't pay off until later in the season. We didn't even talk about
it's like
this.
a to be continued thing.
Well, no, the
Oh.
episode's a to be continued, but the wallet comes back later in the season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's stuck in Jerry's couch.
Oh.
On his couch
his-
cushion.
Yeah, and like it causes all sorts of problems. And
'cause
Jerry's
they
dad
couldn't-
just finds it's like, whatever, at some
Yeah,
point.
they couldn't go back to Florida or something because he lost his wallet.
Something about, I don't
Oh,
remember
wow.
exactly, yeah. But so they have dinner with Uncle Leo at La Boîte en Bois.
Yeah.
And he has Jerry's watch on that Jerry threw out in the garbage. And because he didn't want to get it fixed because it didn't keep time. And so, yeah, Jerry buys it back from him and whatnot. And then Jerry buys a wallet for his dad, and it had Velcro. And so his dad was like, this is trash. And it had like it had $400 in it.
But then Uncle Leo ends up like picking that up out of the trash too. So it's like this whole like circular like infinity loop
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like Jerry's parents buying him something, him throwing it away, his uncle finding it in the trash, and then
him
Jerry
buying
buying
it
his
back.
parents,
Yeah.
and like yeah,
That's so funny.
but like never being able to actually like talk to each other. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
I mean,
funny.
the addition of Jerry and George's parents to the show is like masterful. Like it adds like this whole other dimension of like, where do these people come from and why are they so insane, you know?
Oh,
And-
now we know why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And so, like, I would say that Jerry's parents are on the balance less crazy. Like, Jerry's mom is not really crazy,
Yeah.
other than she thinks her son is untouchable. Like, he's the greatest person ever. Jerry's dad he's crazy. He has he just is hung up on things constantly.
Yeah.
And then George's parents are like balls to the wall, insane.
Yeah,
And it's just every time they're on is so enjoyable,
yeah. I think Frank is
Incredible.
my favorite character.
Yeah.
Frank is,
Yeah.
he is so good.
Frank and Estelle, they're
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
they're so good.
Yeah. And of course, Frank he was on the King of Queens for like 8 or 9 years too, or however
Oh,
long that
really?
show ran. Yeah, he was
I've
Yeah.
never seen that.
he was Kevin James's dad. No, he was the wife's dad, I think.
Oh, wow.
Leah Remini or whatever. I forget her name on the show. But yeah, I mean, he had, and he's Ben Stiller's father, Jerry Stiller. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, and he had such an amazing late career. That last 20 years or so was just
An
Yeah.
icon.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So we go to that restaurant, and then we go to the dinner party episode. The dinner party episode is where they go to get the babka, to join, like the chocolate babka,
Yep.
in order to, go to this dinner party. And we went to the location.
Yeah, and this is the one that is no longer a bakery. It's now a Jenny Craig.
Oh yeah,
Of all
that's what you were
things.
telling me.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Which
Yeah.
is absurd because we were like, where's the bakery? Where's the bakery? Wait. And then we were like, no, it's a Jenny Craig. Like, just the exact opposite.
Yeah. But that was a good episode, where,
That's where he stole it from the old lady, right?
no, it's the marble
That's
rye.
the
Marble
Marble
Rye.
Rye.
Yeah.
The babka is the one where they like are going to this party and Elaine insists that they all have to bring something, and so like George and Kramer go to get wine, Jerry and Elaine go to the bakery to get the babka. They like don't get a ticket, and somebody else gets the last babka, and then they get the cinnamon babka, and there's a hair in it, so they have to wait, and this guy like steps on her foot with his cane, and it's like this weird. That's like, I feel like that's my favorite part of it. It's just this like weird side actor that has this one moment where he steps hard on
He's
Elaine's
like, now's
foot,
my big break.
Yeah.
and he's like, sorry.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah,
has
yeah.
this like insane. It's like this so bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. But
That's
yeah.
the black and white cookie episode.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
the Gore-Tex episode that
It
you were
is,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
referenced
that's right.
earlier, where George has the Gore-Tex jacket, and then they go to buy
The liquor store can't break 100, I remember.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And they
So
have
they buy
to,
the
like,
penthouse,
Yeah.
and then the Clark bar and something else.
Yeah.
And then they get double parked in by Saddam Hussein ultimately, which is another one of those things that like, Saddam Hussein meant one thing then, and then he's like taken on these other dimensions, since then too, where it was
Right.
like, back then it was just the Gulf War, and it was like this weird week-long war we had with Iraq. And then like since then it was Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he was, tried and, executed and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a,
Really
different
crazy
vibe.
reference.
Yeah,
To
for
watch
sure.
now,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
and
Yeah, and so then from there, do we go all the way up to Tom's restaurant?
yes.
Yeah.
And,
And on the way, we pass Jerry's apartment.
yeah.
But yeah, we hit Tom's restaurant, and I think that's our last stop of the walk before
That's
we turn.
the last stop in Manhattan. There is one location we go in Queens.
Where is Jerry's house?
It's on 81st Street.
It's 129 81st, which
Oh
is
yeah,
the same
129 81st.
your
Because I
old
used to live
apartment
at
number.
129.
Yeah, but
Cool.
we went to the site of where the Costanzas live.
Oh yeah, the gray.
It's a beautiful block.
Yeah, I
like
bet it
it's
is.
like I don't know if it's technically a duplex. I don't know. It's like it's a giant home that has like two separate things. And it was like the birds chirping, and like all the houses are like that on there. Like,
Where exactly is it?
so it's in the show, it's Kew
Forest
Gardens or
Hills.
Forest Hills.
In the
Forest
show,
Hills.
they say it's Forest
In
Hills.
the show, it's Forest Hills. In real life, it's in Astoria, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like kind of like interior Astoria, not like closer to the water, but like a
Right.
little bit closer to the in the
I'm
middle
just
of the land.
wondering, like, how are Jerry and George like even? Jerry grew up in Manhattan, didn't he?
Well, Jerry Seinfeld, the human, grew up in Long Island. Jerry Seinfeld, the character, I guess grew up in Queens.
I thought it was Bayside for some reason.
Maybe,
But I don't
because
remember.
I mean, I do know. I don't have all my history together, but from some of the episodes, I know that he was friends with George from a kid because there was the summer George, and then that guy, whatever his name, he had a van, and then he goes into Central Park and like digs holes.
It was like his
know,
summer.
sit in.
It was like
Yeah,
his Jerry.
yeah.
It was like his Bizarro friend, like his Bizarro.
Well,
Jerry
Bizarro's a
friend,
separate
right?
thing, but yes,
But it was
basically,
like the equivalent.
it was a
he's like, you don't like the van.
yeah.
No, I love the van.
Yeah. So George was definitely friends with him from a child, but they also both went to Queens College together on the show
Got it.
because they like one time Jerry gets an alumni newsletter, like talking about how the pilot got picked up and then dropped, and like George, it's the marine biologist episode.
Oh, yeah.
And George is like never in the alumni newsletter, but then later Jerry's at the ATM or something,
Yeah.
and he sees a woman who asks after George, and then Jerry says he's a marine biologist, so he has to pretend that he is,
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've known each other forever, and presumably they grew up together,
Got
in
it.
the same location.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it was a nice house?
It was really nice. And I mean, I was like, it's so funny when you when I think about when I was younger, especially like my family is not I didn't grow up in the city, but my father and my mother were from Middle Village, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we would go there, on holidays or just random times. And I just never saw much of an appeal to Middle Village. I thought like Long Island was cooler. But now, like, when I look at these like Queens neighborhoods, I'm like, these are awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I totally want a house here. This makes complete sense,
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I'm
Yeah.
sure when I was watching Seinfeld, I was like, Queens,
I feel that way when I ride out like through Maspeth
Yeah.
and Glendale and places like that, or like any of those places. The houses look so much nicer to me now.
Yeah, totally.
I
Yeah.
love to be out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, and even just like, I mean, even the difference of like growing up in the suburbs and then moving into the city, and now when I see a house that has like a little yard, I'm like, that's so nice, like
Yeah.
a separated home.
Yeah,
Like, you can
yeah.
have that in Queens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not that far.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I think it's all tidal, right? Because it's funny. There's an episode. Is it the baby shower, or I don't know what it's called, where Jerry gets free cable and Elaine hosts
Oh,
a
yeah.
baby shower in his apartment and whatnot, and then George goes to confront a woman who got ketchup or something all over his chocolate all
cake.
over his
Yeah.
all over his shirt. And he's telling the story of how he got the chocolate all over his shirt. And he was like, she was a performance artist. And he was like, she dragged me out to the waterfront in Brooklyn. And I had to go watch her performance piece in some warehouse. And he was just like disgusted at the idea of having to go to Brooklyn. And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like given the time and era, they were probably referencing like Williamsburg. And I'm sure
Yeah.
Larry David went out there
Yeah.
for like some, date that he just hated, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's just funny. Like
People like that still exist.
Totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I have to go to Brooklyn?
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
For me, I'm like, oh, I have to go to Manhattan? But I'm
Yeah.
also like, okay with it.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
I'm down.
Cool. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. Like, I mean, I don't want to take us on too much of a tangent, but like, it feels like how, like, your bubble too. Like, if you're used to just like being in this one neighborhood and doing everything in one neighborhood, like going even across borough feels like forever
Totally.
to get to.
Yeah.
But then if you're used to like even 1 year ago, probably going into the city is like, ugh, I have to go into the city today. Whereas now, like, we just walk, like, we just got
You guys
back
were
from
like,
the
"Oh,
city.
we
Like,
only
walked
have to
over
go
the
into the
Queens
city."
Bridge,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
even
yeah,
the
yeah.
Queensboro Bridge, and like all the way down. We were in like Uptown earlier this afternoon. And it's like, that doesn't feel like that far away anymore.
Yeah,
Or
we're
like if
totally
you're biking,
distorted.
or if you're doing like,
Yeah.
For sure. You guys probably have such a different idea of the city than a majority of people.
It
At this
definitely
point,
gives
it's
you a
like
different perspective.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so now, like, especially now when I hear something like that that's referenced, like, I had to go all the way out to Brooklyn, I'm like, shut up.
Like, piece of cake. Come on.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
very far at all.
Yeah.